Chapter 3. The Cages. An hour had passed. Things had gotten very quiet, except for the pouring rain outside and the occasional clap of thunder, and Mercia decided it was time for action. "All right, let's do this," said Mercia. "So what are we looking for?" asked Bethany. "Anything suspicious," said Mercia. "Remember, we're technically guests here, so the plan of attack would be to find some things that could possibly be evidence for a warrant. We bring the evidence to the police, they come in, they search, and then we can start making arrests. Simple as that." "Sounds like a plan," said Bethany. "Wait, where is Valor?" "Oh, he's hiding under the bed," said Mercia. She looked down towards it, spying Valor's tail was sticking out from under it. "You didn't actually think I would find you, Val." She reached down and pulled him out with his arms crossed. "Oh, fine," said Valor. He climbed on Mercia's shoulder and they all exited the room, splitting up into two groups. Bethany and Cynthia walked through the eastern side of the manor. They kept their senses out for either Fiona or Stephen, hoping not to run into them. After wandering for a while, a particular scent came to Cynthia's nose. "That smell. It's lavender candle wax," she said. "And it's coming from here." They turned and opened a door. The room looked like an office with a desk covered in many files, letters, and purple, particularly used candles. They slipped into the office and closed the door behind them. "Look at all these letters," said Bethany. "Yeah," said Cynthia. "Her desk is messier than mine." "There's got to be something here." "Well, let's see," said Cynthia. "Business letter, invitation, business letter, business letter, threat of legal action, receipt for custom-made deodorant. She spends $500 on a single stick." $500, said Bethany. $500? That's a lot more now than what it will be in the 2020s, and she spends it all on a single stick of deodorant? If I had that money, I could build something new. "One problem at a time, Shorty," said Cynthia. "Here's another invitation, and another legal threat, another invitation. "What's with all the invitations?" asked Bethany. "Is she having a gathering?" "Maybe," said Cynthia. "What's this?" Bethany held up a letter with a strange scarlet symbol on the bottom. The symbol looked like a spiky fish hook in a lion's mouth. "What's it say?" "It looks like Fiona has been doing some business with someone known as the Lord. It says that the Lord has been making investments in Fiona and supplying her with random ingredients." "For what?" asked Cynthia. "It doesn't say," said Bethany. "It just says that she's expected to give results in the near future." "Strange," said Cynthia. "You know what? I just realized something. All these invitations, these are invites to some wealthier or higher-ranking members in this city. Even Valor's sister is getting an invitation." "What are the invitations for?" asked Bethany. "Is it actually a party or something?" "No," said Cynthia. "Each one is asking for dinners, business meetings, or other private events." "Just like what happened to Miss Dove," said Bethany. "She was invited by Fiona, and she's now a goose." Mercia, with Valor on her shoulder, were wandering down a different hallway. The sound of thunder echoed through the halls as they looked around. They eventually came to a library. It was huge, filled with bookshelves that were bigger than any room back at their own castle, and each were filled with different books. The sight was breathtaking, and they wandered in. "Wow," said Mercia. "Look at this. There's enough books here to last a lifetime." "This is amazing," said Valor, forgetting how much the place scared him. He flew up and started looking around the books. "Guns and Ghouls, Deus Exodus. She has Ragnarok, the battle to save the universe. I love this book." "There is a nice variety here," said Mercia. "Hey, she also has all of the Wings of Mystery books," said Valor. "All 19 of them." "Oh, Father used to read me those books," said Mercia. Those were the books that made me want to be a detective. What's this? Asked Valor, as he pulled out a book that had no end label. 101 Ways to Cook Dragon? What? Ew! He freaked out and dropped the book, but Marcia caught it. Marcia took a good look at the book and paged through it a little. I didn't know that there were so many ways to cook a dragon, said Marcia. Dragon heart soup, dragon legs, dragon tail made into a steak. Apparently there's also a recipe to cook dragon anus. Why are you reading that? Asked Valor, who had flown away to a different bookshelf in his panic. Just curious, said Marcia, as she slid the book into its place. She turned towards Valor, but saw something. There was a large cushioned chair with a single book with a golden bookmark. She walked over to it and picked it up. Popular Fables. She turned to the page with the golden bookmark. The Goose That Laid the Golden Egg. What? Said Valor, as he flew down to her. The Goose That Laid the Golden Egg, said Marcia. It's an old fairy tale. But that's also what happened to my sister's model, said Valor. Yeah, said Marcia. That can't be a coincidence, can it? Marcia looked at the bookmark, and it had the same symbol as on the golden egg. She then looked over the bookshelf and saw an open space. I wonder. She put the bookmark back and closed the book. She walked over to the shelf and slid the book back into its slot. She then ran her hand across the bookshelf, gave it a few taps in different spots until she felt something. What is it? Asked Valor. Come here, Val. He flew over to Marcia and she took him in hand. You're still working on fire, but can you possibly let out a little smoke? Right here. Valor nodded and puffed out a few smoke rings. The smoke rings drifted for a moment before they slid into what looked like a crack in the wall. Marcia then ran her hand down the wall before she felt something carved into the wall, and it shocked her. Ouch, she said. Are you okay? Asked Valor. Did you see that? She asked. There's a magic seal here. Something's behind this shelf. Classic, said Valor. Valor, dragons are immune to negative effects of magic, she reminded him. Can you do something about this? Let me see, said Valor. He reached up with his claw and ran it down to where the seal was. He felt the energy, but it reflected off of him and back into the seal, breaking the magic around it. He started to dig his claws into the seal until he was able to fit his finger into it. He felt something like a latch, and he gave it a pull. There was a shift in the wall, and the bookshelf started to slide open. Inside was a room with brick walls, lit by yellow glowing lanterns, and dozens of small, rusty iron cages. Valor hid behind Marcia as she walked over to the cages. What the hell? She said quietly. This is horrifying, said Valor. Good word, said Marcia. She saw something in a cage. It was a long brown and white feather. She picked it up and examined it. Is that a goose feather? Said Marcia. Oh, God, said Valor. Was Miss Dove locked in that cage? We're going to find out, said Marcia. She slid the feather into her dress and pulled out a camera, taking pictures of the cages. They left the room, and Valor pushed the seal back, closing the entrance behind them. Marcia then reached up to her bee-watch and contacted Bethany. Bethany here. Beth, we found something, said Marcia. There was a hidden room filled to the rim with bird cages. One had a goose feather in it. Really? Said Bethany. That's interesting. I'd use the word disturbing, said Valor, looking over Marcia's shoulder. Not important, said Marcia. Did you guys find anything? Actually, listen to this, said Bethany. We found a series of invitations, all being made out to higher members of this society. All of them are asking for private meetings, just like how she invited Miss Dove. There is also a few notes from someone called the Lord. Strange, said Marcia. Yeah, said Bethany. It sounds like she's working for someone, but none of the notes give an exact name. Beth, let's meet up, said Marcia. I think we found enough evidence for a warrant. We need to head to the police station, and now. Aye, said Bethany. Meet back at the rooms. Correct, said Marcia. Private Eye Princess out. She turned off the watch and they began to exit the library. They walked back to the rooms until they started hearing a rumbling. Valor, was that your stomach? Asked Marcia. No, said Valor. Before they could do anything else, they felt something breathing down their necks. They froze for a moment before they slowly turned around. Standing over them was Stephen, holding a massive, double-sided battle axe in his hand. Hey, handsome, said Marcia. I don't suppose we could talk about this over dinner, could we? Unfortunately, no, said Stephen as he raised his axe. You know too much. Valor yelled in great fear and flew off, but Marcia just dodged the axe swing by flipping backwards. I guess we're going to do it this way, said Marcia. She took a stand and waited for Stephen to charge. The massive minotaur charged at her, but Marcia dodged it and kicked him in the torso. However, Stephen was unaffected. Marcia gave him a few quick jabs, but the minotaur's size and strength made it feel like nothing. Are you even trying? Mocked Stephen. Oh, you're going to get it, said Marcia, but before she could do anything else, Valor flew back and grabbed Marcia by the shoulders. How about we try running? He yelled. Valor, despite being the size of a bunny, with what little dragon strength he had, managed to lift Marcia up and flew away from the minotaur. He flew as fast as he could, but Stephen kept pace with them. He turned left, then right, going in totally random directions until Marcia noticed something. There was a suit of armor with a sword in its scabbard. Valor, drop me there, said Marcia. I've got an idea. Valor listened and dropped her near the armor. She quickly reached out and drew the sword from the scabbard. She pointed the sword at Stephen as he stopped charging. The tables have turned, bull man. I was in the fencing club for 2 years. Have at thee. She gave her sword a swing, a twirl, a flip, and other moves that showed off impressive skill with the blade. She ended with a lunge and pointed the sword at Stephen's face. First move is yours. Stephen shrugged and swung his battle axe, shattering the sword like glass. Marcia stood there, looking at the broken blade. It was just a decorative sword, wasn't it? It was just a decorative sword, said Stephen. But then Stephen yelled in pain. He turned his head to see Valor had flown behind him and had his jaws clamped down on his butt. Stephen snorted and tried to shake him off. Get off, you annoying lizard, he yelled, but Valor held on for dear life. Marcia took the opportunity to throw the broken half of the sword into Stephen's hand. Only decorative, but the broken blade was sharp enough to pierce the Minotaur's hand. Stephen yelled in great pain and dropped his battle axe. He reached it down and pulled Valor off. He threw Valor towards Marcia, but she caught him. He pulled the blade out of his hand and gave a terrifying growl. Valor, now would be a good time for you to learn how to breathe fire, said Marcia. I can't just deus ex machina that, said Valor. Then let's do this the hard way, said Marcia. She gripped Valor by the tail and started swinging him almost like a medieval flail. Hey, he shouted. Bring it, said Marcia. But just then a new voice entered the air. Hey, you big brown bully. Stephen turned and saw Cynthia cracking her knuckles. Why don't you pick on someone your own size? Stephen chuckled. If you wish, said Stephen. A bull against a wolf. What makes you think you can win? He charged at Cynthia, but she responded by kneeing him in the gut. This time, Cynthia didn't just hurt Stephen, but knocked the wind out of him. Cynthia gave him an uppercut with her claws, sending him upwards, then grabbed him by the neck. She slammed him against the wall, headbutting him, and then threw him on the ground with a loud slam. Stephen fell unconscious. Wow, said Marcia, as she stopped spinning Valor. Looks like this bitch just made you my bitch, said Cynthia to the fallen Minotaur. You totally wrecked him, said Marcia as she walked over to Cynthia. Where did you learn to fight like that? Oh, since when did a bull ever stand a chance against an alpha wolf? Said Cynthia. No times that I can recall, said Bethany, who was right behind Cynthia. Good job, said Valor, sounding very dizzy from the spinning. Were you planning on using me as a weapon? You still have horns and dragon scales, which even at your age are very durable, said Marcia. You would have made a great flail. I don't know what's going to make me hurl more, said Valor. All the spinning or what you just said. Let's focus, said Marcia, as she looked back at Stephen. But then she saw something glowing under his shirt. She reached down under Stephen's shirt and felt something like a stone glued to his back. She pulled it off with a good tug and raised it up for the group to see. It was a circular stone with a glowing carving of a bull head on it. What is that? Asked Bethany. Then they all saw Stephen slowly transform from a minotaur into a normal human. My God, said Valor. He reached up and touched it. He felt the magic in it. I think it's some kind of charm. A charm? Said Marcia. A charm that turned a human into a different creature. We are swimming in evidence. She slid the charm into her dress. Well, I say we do not overstay our welcome, said Valor. Can we get out of here now? Yes, said Marcia. Wait. Which direction do we go? The team looked around and realized they had entered a hallway they hadn't seen yet, and they didn't know where they were. I say we just find a window and climb out of that, said Cynthia. Then let's get looking, said Bethany. They started wandering the halls looking for any means of escape. While they wandered, Marcia thought to herself, invitations to high-ranking members of our city, a series of bird cages, and a magical charm that could turn a human into an animal of some kind. It all points to Fiona turning Miss Dove into a goose, but there's one thing missing. Why? Why does she want to turn wealthy people into birds?